Ticket to the bank, AOC will be the Democrat nominee for president in 2028. We can just feel it in our bones. We know the direction the party is going to move, and that's who they have selected. And that selection is going to come with some major problems because, like any young leftist today, AOC lives a life of contradictions. She's a socialist and a communist in a capitalist society. She's not even from the Bronx, but it gets even worse. She drives a Tesla, even though Elon Musk is evil. She voluntarily bought one and charges at a Tesla station inside of her building that's owned by Amazon. She chooses to live above a Jeff Bezos-owned Whole Foods in Washington, D.C. Check that, it's true. And inside of that fancy apartment, she chooses to engage with the space-age technology that comes with such a posh location.
I'm told this is a garbage disposal. I've never seen a garbage disposal. I never had one in any place I've ever lived.
Is that really true? Because we went to AOC's house where she grew up in Yorktown Heights, a leafy, beautiful suburb, 2 hours north of the Bronx, where she claims to be from. And there were garbage disposals there. But anyway, a life of contradictions. Like AOC says that she wants to defund the police, yet she wantonly got arrested by the police a few years ago and then used fake handcuffs. You can see here her fist of power, even though she had her hands behind her back. The theater kids, ladies and gentlemen. It's a crisis. And this is the real crisis. Because for all AOC's conversations about colonization and white supremacy, boy, she chose to date for the last 20 years and now has been engaged for 4 years to one of the whitest people to ever live. This is Riley Roberts, AOC's male pattern balding, low T, very soylent left-wing boyfriend who's here to sit and film in the corner, right, and be dutiful young man who's definitely not going to impregnate AOC because she just froze all of her eggs. And maybe you can see why here. It seems like a personal issue. But it also is a major personal issue to every left-winger who constantly marrying white men. Pretty amazing. Here, quite a trend here of left-wing libtards marrying white people. Boy, I didn't actually know it was this bad. Uh-oh. Okay. White men are inherently evil and racist. Yep. Except for my white man. So anyway, you obviously saw that AOC froze her eggs, right? And she lifted up her shirt, exposed her belly on her Instagram. Everybody pay attention to me and gave herself a little shot. It was incredibly sad because everybody said, well, wait a second. Where's your live-in boyfriend, longtime 20-year-old boyfriend? And she's been dating this guy for 20 years. Did you consult him? Did you talk with him? Like, did she just find out on Instagram that you're going to freeze your eggs at the ripe age of 36, the non-ripe age of 36? Did he have any say in the matter here? You're making a video with your dog, who's also neutered. So maybe it's a trend. I'm not sure. But now the internet is all awash in one speculation about AOC doing this in order to simply pander to young women for the 2028 election, or then potentially to also commit fraud. Now let's talk about that. AOC shares candid video about deciding to freeze her eggs. She'll accept political risk to show other women her journey. So it's an act, ladies and gentlemen. It's an act. You've had a man available to you, loosely defined, for the better part of the last 20 years, yet you haven't gotten pregnant. Why is that? Why isn't AOC married after being engaged to Riley Roberts for 4 years? Well, because she's hiding his finances from the public. That's why. So long as they remain legally unmarried, Roberts' stock trades remain a secret. Oh, my. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Is that what's going on here? Well, there are competing theories. Because this reporter for the Washington Free Beacon was quote tweeted by this reporter for Puck News, chief Washington correspondent, mostly on the Hill. This is like a legitimate outlet. Good outlet. This is not like some rando on the internet. Saying AOC and Roberts broke up about 2 years ago. Perhaps that's why she's freezing her eggs. Oh no. So which is it? We're not exactly sure. AOC announced the news of her engagement in 2002. AOC on her fiance's reaction to her decision to freeze her eggs and go public with the process on Instagram. So apparently she did give a reaction. Let's listen to this.
But I also think that, I think what's so important, I think, in this moment is that women were often taught to keep this information very quiet and very private. And everyone has that choice. And I think a lot of us would prefer for that. But I also think that when you want to make those kinds of decisions, you really benefit from hearing from other women and from destigmatizing it. And that's kind of what I've...
Yeah, but what about your husband?
In this process. And everyone, all of my loved ones have been very supportive. Thank you.
What about your husband, though? Where's your husband? I mean, it's your fiance. They got engaged in 2022. So did they break up? Is that true? Community Note says multiple recent reports confirm that AOC remains engaged. So we're not sure about that, but we are sure about this, that because of these rules, AOC can hide her husband's financials from the American public if they are not married. House Ethics Committee slams AOC's manipulation of the rules to shield spouses' financial affairs from the public. AOC's partner, Riley Roberts, is a spouse to secure free gifts, but not when it comes to financial transparency. So they actually swap him, whether he's her spouse or simply her live-in boyfriend, sometimes fiance, depending on what they need him to be. Interesting. House Ethics Committee slammed AOC for simultaneously claiming that her longtime partner, Riley Roberts, is and isn't her spouse. The committee's rebuke stemmed from a lengthy explanation AOC attorney provided to justify the New York lawmakers' acceptance of free tickets for Roberts to attend the Met Gala. At this time, it was a gift Ocasio-Cortez could only accept for her legally married spouse. But AOC has never been legally married. She lived with Roberts since 2016. The pair became engaged in 2022, but there's no evidence the couple legally tied the knot. There hasn't been a picture wearing her engagement ring. AOC hasn't been pictured wearing her engagement ring in public since 2023. Despite that, AOC says Roberts is considered a spouse in the Ethics Committee, but he's only considered a spouse in context of campaign finance law. AOC has also used the statute to grant her partner several privileges typically afforded only to legally married spouses of lawmakers. That includes securing Roberts a free ride, gifted travel to Japan, South Korea, and also a spouse pin. But here, there are some drawbacks to being a congressional spouse, such as having to disclose one's source of income and financial holdings. Roberts isn't subjected to those, explained the committee. That's because under the committee's financial disclosure, Mr. Roberts is not considered a spouse. Say the couple hasn't taken the steps to bring that law or religion into their relationship. Oh, okay. So she doesn't have to disclose any of his financials. You can see how convenient that would be when you're running Ilhan Omar level accounting services here, right? And so she's bending the rules one way or another. Yeah, this is actually what I thought was going on here. Much of the speculation about AOC's boyfriend is commitment phobic or stringing her along to avoid marriage. Nope, that's not how somebody like AOC operates. She and her man are using a loophole for financial secrecy. If this is true, the SEC and the DOJ should go after her for financial insider trading. Be a shame if some IRS employee leaked the tax returns like they leaked Trump's. Nancy Pelosi crawled so AOC could fly. Why is she freezing her eggs and not getting married? Cash. That's right. Monitoring the situationship. You can read the ethics report right here, ladies and gentlemen. And you can also sort of feel bad for AOC, I guess. She's complaining that her $8,000 egg freeze procedure cost, she had to save up for years for this. She spent years saving up for this procedure. and it's not likely to work. Bloomberg Business, freeze your eggs, free your career. What happened to this lady who was the literal poster child for freezing your eggs to become a boss babe? 2 eggs failed to survive the thawing process. 3 more failed to fertilize. 6 embryos. 5 appeared to be abnormal. The last one was implanted in her uterus in the morning of March 7th. She got the devastating news that it had failed too. The poster child, again, for freeze your egg, free your career, boss babe, when she realized her chances of having a genetic child dropped to 0, she screamed like a wild animal, throwing books, papers, and her laptop and collapsing to the ground. It was the worst days of my life. There were so many emotions. I was so angry. I was ashamed. Why me? What did I do wrong? Well, you put your career over your actual happiness. And that's always a mistake. So remember that when you're voting for somebody, especially if they're doing that to run for president. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe.